So the modern population of Ireland does not largely descend from the Neolithic population, as some people believed for a very long time. Those who built Newgrange and other megalithic structures. Not only were their haplogroups mostly replaced in the Bronze Age, but they also do not plot similarly over the entire genome, and this shows that this population was not likely absorbed, or at least not mostly absorbed, into the incoming population of Indo-Europeans. It was replaced, died out, or killed off. Probably a mixture of all of those. However, does some lingering influence of this population continue on, recorded in the variety of tales of royal incest in the medieval period? Hi, I'm Kevin McLean. If you'd like to support the channel, please give a like, subscribe, and check out our Patreon page. Incest is held by cultures around the world to be evil, though there are regional and cultural differences around the details of it. Yet there are a few cases when it has been practiced, and generally it is around a ruling elite who are considered as gods. Now, recent DNA studies have proven that the ruling Neolithic elite in Ireland, those who built and were buried in the massive megalithic structures, were practicing incest, not between cousin or more distant relations, but between brother and sister, parent and child. As shocking as this revelation is, there are some parallels in other ancient societies, such as Egypt, and in every case, the reason is associated with an extremely high social status of a ruling elite, who are viewed and may view themselves as the incarnations of gods, and it would appear that the practice stems around trying to preserve the family lineage to such an extreme degree where the only possible mate that one has is their own family. Perhaps most surprising in the Irish case, as pointed out by Tom of Survive the Jive, the incestuous practice may have been an attempt to preserve an original hunter-gatherer genetic line, or particular features of that line, such as blue eyes. In practice, however, it meant that these people were being born with disabilities due to inbreeding. Mysteriously, Gaelic myth seems to record just such practices, ascribing them to their own kings, great heroes, and gods, the line between which appears very slim. In these many tales, though recorded in the medieval period, this practice is ascribed to many figures, most often associated with great figures who are counted as ancestors of the Gaels and of their kings. One such example is Lugath Raenderk, Red Stripe or Red Sky, and he was said to have had 3 fathers, Bres, Nar, and Lothar, all brothers of his mother, Clothru. Afraid they would die in battle, she seduced the 3 of them to produce an heir who resembled Nar from the neck up, to the waist as Bres, and to the feet as Lothar. Furthermore, when he grew up, he slept with his mother and conceived Crimthan Nianar, and features as a prominent ancestral figure in several kingly lines, and he is said to have gone on a journey with his aunt, who is called a fairy, to the other world, and returned with many godly treasures. Another of many examples is found in the tale of Tochmar Edain, the wooing of Edain, where the goddess Edain ends up being born as a mortal, whom the god Midas strives to win back. He tricks the High King Echu Erlen out of her and makes the king to marry his own daughter, who also takes the name Edain. The child of this incestuous union then marries the next High King, Eterskell, and is mother to High King Conara Mór, who is likewise the son of an unnamed god who appears to her in bird form, and is almost certainly the god Lugh, as a very similar bird mating also results in the birth of Cuchulainn. Now, as it happens, this High King Echu Erlem is also the brother of Echu Fedlech, who is the father of Bres, Nar, and Lothar, who fathered Lugith Reunderg. And so there is this massive web of these stories of royal incest, so that nearly every king was at least the descendant of someone born in incest. Setanta himself is suggested to have been the result of just such an incest, although the mythical tale says that Lugh was the initial or spiritual progenitor. The biological father is suggested to have been Conchovar himself, who is said to use his sister as his charioteer and to lie beside her at night. And to dispel these rumors, Conchovar had her married off to one of his sworn warriors. One explanation for this can be found in the stories themselves. These people were thought to be the incarnations of gods. Tochmar Edain is a clear example. The goddess Edain, most often said to be a daughter of Dian Cecht, had been transformed into a fly by the first wife of Midir, who was jealous of her husband's affections for her. That fly was swallowed by a mortal, and the goddess was born as a human, who was then returned to the realm of the gods, and had her former memories that she had forgotten restored to her. This element of reincarnation, and the ease of transition between gods and mortals, also seems to be used for justification for family succession. It could be that these tales of incest were ascribed to human kings but originally belonged to stories of gods. But as recent DNA studies have shown, such practices were not only mythical, but were very real. The question remains, did later Bronze and Iron Age peoples continue this Neolithic practice, or is it just a continuation in myth? The Indo-European peoples that replaced the Neolithic population in Ireland were known as the Belbeakers, and they were named for the style of their pottery. It's most likely that during the later Bronze Age, Ireland was absorbed into the Urnfield culture, and was drawn into the sphere of Proto-Celtic, with a smaller influx of Celtic elites from the mainland came to take up ruling positions in Ireland. Yet it's likely also that the language spoken by Belbeakers was not far distant from Proto-Celtic, both being European forms of Indo-European. And so the cultural changes were not likely sizable. Yet a unique distinction between mainland and island Celtic persisted, from their housing design to key linguistic differences. When looking to other Indo-European cultures, we do not see this same embrace of an incest that we do in Irish tales. Given the taboos around such practices, people would have been very hesitant to ascribe such things to their honored ancestors. But ancient Indo-Europeans did venerate dead kings as gods, and it is possible that it is through this means that such tales become ascribed to them. Eastern branches of Indo-Europeans seem in some respects closer to Gaelic examples than Roman. So it's difficult to say whether the concept of royal incest is the continuation of Neolithic practice or tales, but it certainly is at odds with recorded traditions in most of the rest of Europe. And it's possible that this idea of kingship was transmitted from one population to another when the early Belbeaker people were first arriving and came to be very impressed by the local population and their ruling elite. Did they come to mimic these behaviors, or at least to preserve them within myth? Perhaps further genetic studies of Bronze and Iron Age Ireland will yield up further secrets, and once again show that to many of these ancient stories, there is more truth than some suspect. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please give a like, subscribe, and check out our Patreon page to support our work and get unique content. Gurv Mila Magat, As Jacht, Agus Marigoni, Shas Gohard.